Imagine this, a moment when gods and mortals, two vastly different beings from separate realms, come together over a shared meal. It's not just about satisfying hunger, but about creating a connection that transcends the physical world. The very first meal exchanged between gods and mortals, some believe, could have set the stage for everything that followed, shaping not just cultures, but the very fabric of human existence. In mythology, food isn't just something we eat to survive, it holds a much deeper meaning. It's a powerful symbol, representing transformation, divine power, and the forces that shape the world around us. Across ancient cultures, food serves as a key to unlocking the mysteries of the universe. Think about it, gods and goddesses, with their divine abilities and immortality, aren't consuming food in the same way we do. What they feast upon is not just nourishment, but something far greater. It's imbued with the essence of power, vitality, and sometimes even the power to alter the course of history. From the immortal Ambrosia of the Greek gods to the nectar that promises eternal life, food in these tales holds the power to transform, to elevate, and to transcend. What if these sacred meals weren't merely the product of divine indulgence? What if they were the very tools the gods used to change the world and shape the future? What if, through every bite and sip, the gods weren't just feeding themselves, but the destinies of humans as well? Food in mythology is rarely just about survival, it's about control, power, and the ability to alter fates in ways we can hardly comprehend. It's the currency of the divine, and those who partake in it often find themselves forever changed, whether for better or worse. Could these mythological feasts hold secrets about the nature of life, death, and the world beyond our understanding? And how does food, as a symbol in mythology, continue to shape the stories that have been passed down for generations? Welcome to a journey that will take us deep into one of the most captivating intersections of culture, history, and the mystical realms, the role of food in mythology. Across ancient texts, oral traditions, and epic sagas, food isn't just a basic necessity, it's a powerful symbol, a mystical tool, and sometimes, even a force that changes the very course of history. In the world of mythology, the food we consume can be far more than simple sustenance. It can shape destinies, transform lives, and even challenge the very balance between gods and mortals. Take a moment to think about some of the most iconic mythological foods, each one carrying its own legend and divine significance. Ambrosia, for example, the sacred food of the gods in Greek mythology, is no ordinary meal. It's said to grant immortality, an eternal life that allows gods to remain untouched by time. Can you imagine what it would be like to consume something so powerful that it holds the secret to everlasting life? In Greek mythology, ambrosia wasn't just for survival, it was a divine blessing, something that placed the gods above the realm of mortals, setting them apart in both power and nature. The food that gods consume isn't just nourishment, it's the very essence of their divine beings, a crucial part of what makes them gods. But it's not just ambrosia. Think about other sacred foods that have changed the course of empires. In countless tales, food plays a pivotal role in shifting the tides of power. Take, for instance, the epic of the Ramayana from Indian mythology, where the goddess Sita is gifted a fruit that holds immense spiritual significance. That fruit wasn't just a treat, it was a token of divine will, connecting her to the forces of good. Or, in Norse mythology, the apples of Idun, which keep the gods young, are a perfect example of how food can be both a symbol of eternal youth and a pivotal element in the power dynamics between gods and giants. In some stories, food is not a blessing at all, but a curse, a way to bring about destruction, or challenge the balance of the universe. Think of the infamous tale of Tantalus in Greek mythology, where his attempt to serve the gods a meal made from his own son led to his eternal punishment. In this case, food wasn't a source of divine favor, it was a tool for unimaginable wrongdoing, sealing Tantalus's fate in the afterlife. In these tales, food can be both a source of divine grace and a curse, depending on the intentions behind it and the forces at play. Food in mythology is far from ordinary. It's imbued with meanings that transcend physical hunger. It represents the desires, the moral battles, and the cosmic forces that govern the universe. What we eat, or in the case of gods, what they eat, can decide the fate of empires, the destiny of heroes, and even the survival of entire worlds. It is a symbol of power, transformation, and sometimes, a reminder of the consequences of greed, betrayal, or divine intervention. And as we journey through these stories today, we'll uncover just how deeply intertwined food is with the very fabric of mythological storytelling. So, let's dig in and explore the sacred, the cursed, and the transformative foods that have defined legends across the globe. Food, in its most elemental form, is a necessity for life. But in the realms of myth, it becomes so much more. It becomes an instrument of divine intervention, a key to unlocking fate, and at times, a force powerful enough to alter the very fabric of reality. In many ancient tales, the act of eating isn't simply about nourishing the body, it's about shaping destinies, triggering monumental shifts, and even determining the balance between life and death. When gods and mortals come together over a shared meal, the outcome often goes far beyond the table. These moments become sacred rituals, metaphors for deeper truths, or even the catalysts for world-changing events. Today, we are about to embark on a journey through some of the most iconic mythological events where food did more than fill bellies. It changed the course of history. From the divine feasts that the gods enjoy to the meals that serve as turning points for heroes, these stories are not just about food, they are about what food represents in the grand tapestry of existence. Food, in these stories, acts as a bridge between the mortal and divine realms, a symbol of power, a pact, and at times, a test. Take, for example, the sacred Ambrosia in Greek mythology, a food so powerful that it bestowed immortality upon the gods. When the gods partook of this divine food, they were not merely feeding their bodies, they were affirming their godhood, their place in the cosmos. And in other mythologies, food serves as a ritualistic tool to maintain balance, restore harmony, or grant extraordinary powers. What if a single meal could change the fate of a kingdom, or a hero's destiny? What if consuming a certain fruit, or drink, could grant you wisdom beyond your years, or bind you to an eternal cycle of life and death? As we move through these ancient stories, we'll uncover feasts that were far from ordinary and foods that carried with them the weight of worlds. Imagine the moment when the gods themselves feast upon celestial fruits, or when a mere morsel of food changes the very nature of a person's existence. These sacred meals are often the backdrop for some of the most transformative and dramatic events in mythology, moments that define entire eras and shift the balance of power. So, let's dive in and explore these ancient legends, each of which offers a fascinating look at how food transcends mere consumption to become a symbol of divine will, a tool of transformation, and at times, a harbinger of doom. From the feasts of the gods to the life-altering foods of heroes, let's discover how food has shaped the myths that continue to captivate our imagination today. In the vast and rich landscape of Greek mythology, the concept of ambrosia and nectar is central to the divine world of the gods. These were no ordinary foods or drinks. Ambrosia, the food, and nectar, the drink, were the very essence of immortality itself. Consumed exclusively by the gods on Mount Olympus, these divine substances were believed to not only sustain the gods, but also to grant them eternal life, keeping them untouched by aging or death. But ambrosia and nectar weren't just a form of sustenance, they were symbols, representing the gods' separation from mortals, highlighting the vast chasm between divine and human realms. When you think about the gods, it's clear they were depicted as beings of immense power, above the constraints of human existence. Their divine foods set them apart, marking their immortality and their place in a higher, untouchable realm. Imagine the contrast between the gods' eternal vitality, sustained by these special foods, and the mortality of humans, who could never partake in such nourishment. Ambrosia they represent a deeper connection to the immortality mythos. Are we, like Tantalus, forever reaching for something we can never truly attain? Or is there a deeper wisdom behind why such divine gifts were never meant for us? The stories of Ambrosia and Nectar leave us with more questions than answers, but they continue to resonate with the universal human yearning for the divine and the eternal. In Hindu mythology, the mango stands as more than just a fruit. It is a symbol of divine desire, prosperity, and the delicate balance between mortals and gods. The story of the mango involves a playful, and yet deeply meaningful competition between Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, two of the most revered deities in the Hindu pantheon. Their competition wasn't for something mundane, it was for a prize that carried with it immense cosmic significance. A mango, a fruit that is considered the king of all fruits in Indian culture, revered for its sweetness, richness, and symbolism of prosperity. In this story, Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati are given a mango and tasked with giving it away to the most deserving person. What makes this myth particularly interesting is the way in which the mango, though seemingly a simple gift, becomes a symbol of divine favor and material wealth. The mango isn't just a piece of fruit, it embodies everything that is associated with abundance, wealth, and the blessings of the gods. In Hindu culture, the mango is often considered the fruit of the gods, and its lushness and sweetness are believed to symbolize good fortune and divine favor. It is a fruit that brings happiness, prosperity, and health, making it more than just a delicious treat. It's a connection between the earthly and the divine. Now, the competition between Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati isn't just for the mango itself, but for who can bestow it upon someone truly deserving. Here, food becomes a bridge, a tool that allows the gods to interact with the human world. It's a tangible, physical object that has the power to transform lives. While the mango might seem like a small, simple gift on the surface, it represents a cosmic act, a gesture that brings both material wealth and divine blessings to those who receive it. It's a reminder that even in the most trivial seeming offerings, there lies immense significance, both material and spiritual. The most fascinating aspect of the story, however, is the deeper meaning behind the mango. Is it just a fruit, or does it represent something more profound? The mango, in this myth, can be seen as a metaphor for desire itself. It symbolizes the pursuit of perfection and fulfillment, the way humans often reach for something they believe will bring them ultimate satisfaction, whether that's material wealth, success, or spiritual enlightenment. It reflects the human yearning for something pure, something that, in its ideal form, can bring about a sense of completeness. At the same time, the mango can also be seen as a symbol of balance. In the competition between Shiva and Parvati, we see the balance between the masculine and feminine, the divine and the mortal. The mango, as a symbol of both material wealth and spiritual favor, becomes a reminder that true prosperity is not simply about physical riches, but about the harmonious interplay between the material and spiritual realms. It's a perfect fruit, representing the potential to align both aspects of existence in a way that brings harmony and joy. So, what do you think the mango represents in this story? Is it just a fruit? Or is it a metaphor for something much more profound? Perhaps it symbolizes our endless pursuit of perfection, the divine favor we seek, or the balance we hope to achieve in our own lives. Just as the mango in the story bridges the gap between the gods and mortals, it also serves as a reminder that the simplest gifts can hold the deepest meanings, transforming not only lives, but the very nature of existence itself. In Norse mythology, the concept of food is intricately tied to the ideals of glory, honor, and preparation for the ultimate battle, the cataclysmic event known as Ragnarok. When a warrior died bravely in battle, they were chosen to enter Valhalla, the grand hall of the slain, ruled over by the god Odin. But Valhalla wasn't just a place for the fallen to rest in peace. It was a place of constant action, where the warriors, or Einherjar, were rewarded with daily feasts and endless revelry. The food they consumed in Valhalla wasn't simply for sustenance. It was a symbol of their eternal glory, their strength, and their readiness for the end of the world. The central focus of these feasts was the magical boar, Saehrimnir. Every day, this boar would be slaughtered and cooked, providing an endless supply of meat for the warriors. Despite being eaten daily, Saehrimnir would miraculously regenerate overnight, ready to be consumed again. This constant cycle of feasting was more than a physical indulgence. It was symbolic of the warriors' immortality in Valhalla and their eternal preparation for battle. The act of eating the flesh of this mystical boar was a constant reminder of their strength, resilience, and readiness for the fierce struggles ahead. Accompanying the boar was mead, the drink of the gods, which was served in horns to the warriors. This wasn't just any drink. It was believed to be brewed by the gods themselves, a divine elixir that imbued the warriors with even greater power and courage. In drinking mead, the warriors were not just enjoying a beverage. They were engaging in a ritual that reaffirmed their bond with the gods, ensuring they were spiritually prepared for the final battle of Ragnarok. The act of feasting in Valhalla thus became an eternal cycle of both physical nourishment and spiritual fortification. The feasts of Valhalla speak volumes about how food plays a role in shaping cultural values. In the Norse worldview, warriors were the highest form of honor, and to die in battle was the greatest achievement a person could attain. The warriors in Valhalla were not there to simply rest in peace. They were there to prepare, to remain ever vigilant, and to await the day when they would fight once again. Their daily meals were designed not just to keep them alive, but to fortify them, to keep their spirits strong, and to maintain their warrior ethos. In this way, food in Norse mythology wasn't just about nourishment, it was a tool of transformation. It transformed the warriors into embodiments of strength, courage, and divine favor. Every meal they ate was a reaffirmation of their role as eternal fighters, who, in life and death, were bound to a cycle of glory. The boar and mead were more than just physical sustenance. They were symbols of the Norse values of bravery, resilience, and the constant preparation for battle. In the world of the Vikings, food was both a physical necessity and a spiritual symbol, shaping the very identity of their warrior culture. So, what does this tell us about the role of food in shaping the values of a culture? In the case of the Norse, food was central to their worldview. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about embodying the principles that made them warriors in the first place: honor, bravery, and strength. The food in Valhalla reflects the culture's emphasis on physical and spiritual fortitude, and the idea that what we consume, whether literally or symbolically, helps define who we are. For the Norse, food was more than fuel. It was a manifestation of their divine connection to the gods and their unyielding commitment to the battle that lay ahead. The Greek myth of Persephone and her fateful encounter with the pomegranate is one of the most powerful stories about the symbolic role food can play in bridging the realms of life and death. Persephone, the goddess of the harvest, was a figure of life, growth, and abundance. Her mother, Demeter, the goddess of the earth, ensured the fertility of the land, and their bond was central to the cycles of nature. However, Persephone's life would forever be altered when she was abducted by Hades, the god of the Underworld. This tragic event marks the beginning of Persephone's dual existence, one that binds her to both the world of the living and the realm of the dead. What makes this myth particularly significant is the moment when Persephone eats the pomegranate seed offered to her by Hades. This seemingly simple act, a bite of fruit, forever alters her fate and the very fabric of the natural world. Eating the pomegranate is not just an innocent indulgence, it is a symbolic act of binding. By consuming the seeds, Persephone becomes tied to the underworld. The fruit, which is often associated with fertility, life, and abundance, paradoxically becomes the link between Persephone and the realm of death, forcing her to spend part of the year in the darkness of the underworld. The pomegranate in this myth is a powerful symbol of life, death, and cyclical change. Traditionally, the fruit has been associated with fertility due to its abundance of seeds, each one representing the potential for life. Yet, in the case of Persephone, the pomegranate also symbolizes death, because by eating it, she is bound to the underworld, never to remain fully in the world of the living again. This duality mirrors the seasonal cycle of nature itself. Just as Persephone must descend into the underworld each year, causing winter's chill and the dormancy of the earth, her eventual return to the surface each spring brings new life, blooming flowers, and an abundant harvest. This cycle of death and rebirth is reflected in the very nature of the pomegranate, with its seeds symbolizing the potential for both life and death, growth and decay. So, what does this myth suggest about the power of food to connect the realms of life and death? The act of eating the pomegranate is a profound reminder that food is never just about sustenance. It can be an act of transformation, binding individuals to forces far beyond themselves. In Persephone's case, food becomes a boundary-crossing force, connecting her to two worlds that would otherwise be separated: the vibrant, living world of the earth and the dark, silent underworld. Her consumption of the pomegranate seed transforms her into a figure who exists in both realms, embodying the cyclical nature of existence itself. Food in this context has a deeper, metaphysical significance. It becomes the medium through which Persephone's fate is sealed, linking her not just to the physical world, but to the eternal cycle of death and renewal. Just as the fruit nourishes life, it also marks the inevitability of death. This myth highlights the complex relationship between food and the natural world, reminding us that what we consume has the power to shape not only our lives, but also our connection to the forces of the universe. In the case of Persephone, food is a symbol of the delicate balance between life and death, a cycle that has been perpetuated since ancient times and continues to resonate today. The story of the Samudra Manthan, or the churning of the ocean, is one of the most captivating and symbolic narratives in Hindu mythology. This cosmic event is not only about the search for immortality, but also about the intricate balance between forces of good and evil, creation and destruction. At its core, the myth involves the gods, devas, and demons, asuras, coming together to churn the ocean in search of the elusive nectar of immortality, known as Amrita. This collaboration between opposing forces serves as a powerful symbol of the eternal struggle between light and darkness, righteousness and unrighteousness. The churning of the ocean itself is a grand and arduous task. The gods and demons use Mount Mandara as a churning rod and the serpent Vasuki as a rope to stir the ocean's depths, seeking the hidden treasures beneath its surface. But the act of churning isn't a simple or easy process. It is fraught with challenges, dangers, and cosmic upheavals. As the ocean is churned, numerous divine and auspicious objects emerge, including precious jewels, celestial beings, and most significantly, the Amrita, the elixir of immortality. The Amrita, often depicted as a divine food or drink, becomes the ultimate prize. It is said that consuming the elixir grants eternal life, making those who drink it invincible. However, the distribution of the Amrita is fraught with conflict. The demons, who initially collaborated with the gods, seek to claim the elixir for themselves, leading to a fierce battle for possession. In the end, the gods, with the help of the wise god Vishnu, manage to secure the Amrita, restoring the cosmic order and ensuring the victory of good over evil. But beyond its role as a literal substance that grants immortality, the Amrita is a powerful metaphor for transcendence. The myth teaches us that food, especially food of divine origin, holds a unique power to transcend the physical limitations of life and death. The Amrita isn't just nourishment for the body, it is a source of spiritual enlightenment, the ultimate reward for those who successfully navigate the trials and tribulations of life. It represents the highest achievement, immortality, not just in a physical sense, but in a spiritual one. The gods' victory in securing the Amrita symbolizes their mastery over the forces of darkness, the triumph of cosmic order over chaos. This story also underscores the idea that the search for ultimate power, whether it be immortality, wisdom, or divine favor, requires cooperation and the overcoming of great obstacles. The churning of the ocean, despite being a symbolic struggle between good and evil, illustrates the necessity of balance and harmony between opposing forces. The elixir of immortality, as food, becomes the reward for those who understand the importance of unity, effort, and moral righteousness in the pursuit of transcendence. The churning of the ocean and the resulting Amrita serve as a profound reflection of the human quest for eternal life and enlightenment. Just as the gods and demons work together to achieve a common goal, the myth reminds us that ultimate power, knowledge, and immortality cannot be easily obtained. They are achieved through great effort, the balancing of forces, and often a struggle against the forces that seek to undo us. In this myth, food is not merely a source of physical nourishment, it becomes a symbol of higher truths, spiritual growth, and the power to transcend the limitations of the human condition. The Amrita, as the elixir of immortality, represents the potential for divine elevation, a path that can be followed by those who are willing to face the trials and tribulations that life presents. The churning of the ocean is a reminder that in the search for immortality, whether literal or metaphorical, there is both challenge and opportunity, and food plays a key role in unlocking the power to transcend. So, what do you think? Which of these stories resonates with you the most? Is it the ambrosia that grants gods their immortality, the mango that connects divine favor with prosperity, or perhaps the powerful elixir of immortality from the churning of the ocean? Each of these myths offers a fascinating perspective on how food plays a pivotal role in the cosmic order, transformation, and even the balance of good and evil. But here's where I want to hear from you. Have you encountered any food-related myths from your own culture or traditions? Maybe there's a tale from your family's heritage, or a myth you've come across in your own studies that highlights the symbolic power of food. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. I'd love to know how food is viewed in different mythologies across the world. Whether it's a sacred fruit, a magical meal, or a feast that grants power, food has an undeniable connection to the divine in so many cultures. Let's keep the conversation going. I can't wait to read your stories and insights. Food in mythology is far more than just a physical necessity. It is a force of great significance, shaping actions, altering fates, and bridging the divine with the mortal world. As we've seen today, food serves as more than just a symbol in these ancient stories. It's a catalyst for transformation, a gift or curse that can shift the balance of power, and sometimes, even define the course of entire civilizations. From the immortal ambrosia of the gods to the sacred fruits that connect us with divine forces, food is an integral part of the narrative in ways that go beyond what we might initially think. The myths we've explored today remind us that food has the power to define cultures, shape destinies, and transform the world in ways that continue to influence the way we understand our own lives and beliefs. These stories have endured for generations, passed down to us as powerful reflections of our relationship with nourishment, both physical and spiritual. As you continue your journey through the fascinating world of food and mythology, I want you to keep this in mind. The meals we share today might carry stories, wisdom, and meaning that we may not even realize. The simple act of eating could be tied to ancient rituals, beliefs, or sacred acts that have transcended time and culture. Who knows? Maybe the next meal you sit down to will have its own mythic significance, waiting to connect you to something greater than you ever imagined. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the role of food in myth, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us for more captivating tales from the world of food, history, and mythology. There's always something new to discover. Stay curious, keep exploring, and as always, continue finding the magic in everything around you.